as we're logging into World of Warships. Today we're going to be doing something different. Last night I had the pleasure of watching another streamer do World of Warships for my Twitch drops. And it was a new player. They decided that they were going to start World of Warships, which, to be honest with you, it was not even on my radar. I don't know. I've been playing World of Warships since Alpha, and it's one of those things where, I kind of assume everybody who's playing is playing. Um, but I realized by watching their stream last night that there's a lot of people that have no idea what to do in this game. So today I'm going to be live streaming. If anybody has any questions, this would be the time to ask. The purpose of the live stream today is I'm going to go over all the basics with this game, and then I'm going to post the video to YouTube. So World of Warships, what is it? Basically battle boats. You drive around boats, you shoot at each other. But there's a lot that you need to know. First and foremost, when you log into the port, I'm going to set everything so that it's like the way it looks when you log in. Actually, we're going to just get rid of that, get rid of that. So when you first log into the game, this is what it looks like with your ships on the bottom. You will have your tier 1 ship, etc., etc. So the first thing I will tell everybody as far as a new bro tip will be over here on the left side of the screen. Let me make sure you can see it. I'm going to move my little branding thing here. Put that right over there. So in the top left corner, you will see news. My mouse is over it right now. Always click on that. The reason being, and read as many that you haven't, is in each one of these news, there's a potential for an item. Sometimes it can be a quest, sometimes it could just be a free item. A lot of times the devs will hide it in the patch notes here. So, even if you don't plan on reading through the patch notes, you can always just scroll down through here and we'll see if there's a little Easter egg in here today. Watch, today's going to be the one day there's not. Okay, there is none in today's. Oh, you are already participating in this offer. So if you were someone who hadn't clicked on that, so that's the Easter egg hunt is on. So the next one, we're going to go down through. Doesn't look like there's anything in here. I'm horrible about reading the patch notes. Okay. And okay, right here. This is a perfect example. When we get to this one, spring cleaning starts here, unlock a special mission. You'll see this orange button, participate. Just click on it. It says, hey, you're participating in this offer. So what this will do is it'll unlock a mission chain, and I'll show you where to find your missions later. So now we've read through all that, we can escape out of the news. So next thing you know, or next thing you need to know up here is the combat missions. Combat missions are basically your dailies. There's going to be event missions here. Like for instance, this says earn 2,000 base XP. You get credits plus 20%. The final reward is to get this tactical big container. Okay, for the dockyard event, this is going to tell you everything you need to do to get the dockyard levels. There's an event going on for Soviet submarines. I have to deal 20,000 hit points of damage to enemy ships while staying undetected. So that would be a destroyer. So that maybe later on I can do that with, showing you some destroyer play. For the Transformers events, I need to get 3 destroyed ribbons to get the next thing. Experimental ships, this is a cash sink right now. Not like real money, but just burns all your silver. I've spent probably 18 million silver on that, so if you've got a ton of money set aside, you can start doing that. Brawl is a higher level ship battle. And then for Steam Unlock, I have this, which is an event going on, which is basically light people on fire. So next, when you get to the higher level ships, you can start doing the campaigns. Campaigns are, think of them as mission chains that you have to start on mission 1, and you select the task. Oh, sorry, I exited out of that. So for the Science of Victory, you're here on mission 1. I've already completed them, but let's say you can select this, cause 20,000 hit points of damage to an enemy ship with main battery guns, and that's cumulative. It's not just one battle. So it's over the course of 5, 10, 15. And it says, when you complete it, up here you can get these gold stars, and then you get the final task. and then you go on to level 2, level 3. Now, when you get to level 10, you'll see the final task right here. I got the reward issued, but each one of these have rewards. And like if you go back to the missions, let's go to a mission that I haven't done, a campaign. I think Yamamoto here. I have not done this one. If you go to the last one here, if you do the final task, does it tell me what you get? I don't know if you get the ship or the commander, but anyways, there's really good rewards with these campaigns. But a lot of times, like, you know, some of them require high tier ships, some of them don't. And you'll see, like, on this one right here, completion criteria: the Kawachi, a Dreadnought, a Bellerophon, a Kaiser, or a Nassau. Like, there's specific ships. Like this one, you can use anything between a tier 2 and a tier 4. Tier 2 and tier 4, and then when you get up to tier, or the number 5, you have to use a tier 8 to 10 for these. So you could start on these just to kind of play around with them. But they are a great way to get little in-game bonuses. Next is your containers. As you do things in the game, you're going to get containers, and you open those up, and they give you all sorts of in-game items. One of the things they are going to give you is, let's see if I can remember the name of collection items, right? So if you go up here on the top here to profile, I'm going to kind of circle my mouse so you can see it. Whenever you get a collection item, which it could be like little tchotchkes like this, we'll call them. Well, you can complete these collections, and when you complete them, like I got a super container, and then I got a permanent camouflage, and then those things for that collection. This collection, I can do a second flag on all my Soviet cruisers. You know, let's look at one of the collections that I don't have yet. This one I got premium, but this one will give me a Epoch 9 permanent camouflage and a bonus package permanent bonus for a tier 9. So whenever you get like little collection items, that's where they are. They're in your profile and collections. The nice thing about this is if you get duplicates, you'll see like right here, you'll see elements collected. I've got 12 out of 16, duplicates 1 out of 4. If you get 4 duplicates, you can use them to unlock any of the ones you don't have. So duplicates aren't necessarily worthless, and you should kind of prioritize which collections you want based on the rewards. You know, for instance, this one gave me the Oklahoma with a permanent camouflage, so that was one of the first ones I did. You know, it also gave me some permanent camouflages for my other ships. So play around with the collections. That is definitely something you want to get. Now, for next one we will talk about is the dockyard. The dockyard is a way to get a very high tier ship, but unless you're grinding multiple hours over the course of multiple days, the chances of getting it are slim to none, right? Unless you swipe. Most people will buy the starter packs, or when it's getting close, they'll kind of speed it up. Usually, by me just casually grinding, I can usually get to the free lesser tier ship. Very rarely have I gotten all the way up to level 20 without swiping. So just keep that in mind. You do have, you know, right now I have 46 days left, but you get 60 or 90 days to do this. So if you're consistently playing, you should be able to get it. But keep in mind that you're going to want to go to your combat missions, and you're going to want to go to the dockyard and see what specific requirements. Like, for instance, I'm working on main battery hits. Now, in order for me to get 1 level, I need to complete 6 of these, right? So I'm working on 3 more, and I've already got 3. So the next time, I'll be able to get 1 shipyard phase in the next phase, but I'll have to be able to do 6 of them. And then on phase 4, I'll be able to get 2, phase 5, 2, phase 6, 2, 3 on phase 7, and probably 3 on phase 8. Yep. So you really have to do your due diligence and kind of pay attention to what you're doing. A lot of these are tier 5 or 6 or higher. So when you learn to play your ship and you're going to do a lot of grinding, concentrate on the dockyard. For the event pass or battle pass, right? Same thing. I go back and forth on whether I purchase this or not. It really depends on the free ship. Right now I'm just casually grinding and I'm at level 13. But you know, it's really a personal preference. And then the armory. Every day there's free stuff in the armory. Make sure you go in the armory, and then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom here, and you'll see for free. Click on that, and it's sometimes handy to just scroll through any of the new stuff just to see, because sometimes they hide free stuff in here too. Okay, so let's talk about ships. One of the things I observed last night while watching somebody else's stream was they did not know how to manage their carousel, which is their ship port here, as well as they were unfamiliar with the different ammo types. So we're going to start there. And actually, we are going to, yes, we'll start there. This little blue icon here on the bottom left, it says Open Ship Display Settings Panel. If you click on this, this is your sorting menu. You can also hit Compact Carousel View, which shrinks them, and you can hit this drag down here, and you could do 4 rows, you could do 3 rows. This way you can kind of see more of your ships. Now I have 86 ships currently, so there's no way I'm going to be able to see a lot, all of them. But this helps you to kind of get an overall view, especially if you want to say, okay, I just want my American boats, right? Well, now they're all right there in front of me. Or I just want my German boats, or my Japanese boats, So play around with this if you want to run, tier 2s only, or if you're helping a friend and they're in a tier 4 and you want to run tier 4s with them, you could sort through that. So the sorting menu is very nice. Also, one of the things I observed last night that I will recommend to new players is when you start the game in a tier 1. Let's just take Germany, for example, because that's the one that they were playing last night. And you start with your Hermelin. As soon as you get to the fact that you can research the hull and then the next boat, if you do not have the port space, just turn around, sell the Hermelin, send your commander to your barracks, save your commander, and then buy the Dresden. Okay? The Hermelin is a cruiser, the Dresden is a cruiser. What I would recommend, and something that's worked well with me, is you keep the commander with the ship class, not the specific ship, until you get to higher tiers. So then when you research the Dresden, okay, as you can see, the Dresden unlocks into a destroyer and a cruiser. So you're going to play the Dresden until you unlock the 2 hulls and then unlock the cruiser. And then you're going to unlock the propulsion and the destroyer. At that point, if you've got all of that done, I would recommend selling the Dresden, sending your commander to reserves, buying the Kolberg, putting that Dresden's commander on the Kolberg, do free retraining, because at the lower tiers it's not going to matter. Don't pay for the academy training, and then recruit a destroyer commander for the destroyer. Then whatever commander you have with that cruiser moves right down the cruiser line. Same thing with the destroyers. If you get to 2 destroyers like I have, then you can get a second destroyer commander. And then when you branch off to the battleships, keep that commander down the line. Now another thing that a lot of people don't understand, and by the way, those of you who are joining the stream, hello, I'm just going through a basically new player friendly stuff that you should know. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and I will cover that material today. So one of the things a lot of new players don't know is that when there's events usually allow you to use tier 5 boats and up. There's some discrepancy here, tier 4s, tier 5s, but what I would recommend is that as you grind up your tech tree, sell all your tier 1s, tier 2s, and tier 3 boats. I usually sell all my tier 4s too, because I have premium tier 4s that I've gotten through events and stuff, but anything that's tier 5 or higher, keep. There's events that go on, and for you being a new player, if you're going to have to manage your port slots, they give out free slots during events and stuff all the time, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem for you. I really haven't bought port slots, and I have, 99 right now. But as you go on, get to a point where you keep anything from a tier 4 or tier 5 higher. It's really easy on like the European and the Netherlands lines because there's only one line, or the Commonwealth or Pan America. But because I have so many slots, I find myself grinding up every tech tree at the same time. It allows me to maximize my daily plus 50%. But, just keep those ships and keep the commanders in them. Or you can swap commanders. For instance, this is we'll go to the I can't ever pronounce this. The Gneisenau, the German battleship here. I have the P. Heinrich and that battleship. So if I go here and I go to change commander, right here I have a German battleship that is a premium. Premium battleships give bonuses to commander XP, credits, etc., etc. So if I find myself grinding the Scharnhorst, I will sometimes take my commander for my non-premium boats and put them on the premium boat because it costs nothing for retraining for premiums. So that will give you the ability to train up your commanders. So let's say for instance you just started playing the game and you have like I don't know, look at this tier 5 Japanese battleship, right? It's a premium. I would take my Japanese commanders and just put them on there as I'm grinding because they get bonus XP as they go. And I don't know what the bonus XP is. Yeah, right here. It gets a base of a plus 72% commander XP. That's huge. Now, you could assign that. Let's say I have a battleship commander that's a Japanese commander that I can, as I'm leveling him up, I can assign the skills. Or you could just use it to stock skill points on that commander and then put them back to the non-premium boat. But either way, just play around with it. But premium boats do get bonuses for commanders, so use them to train up your commanders. So something else I observed on other streams recently is a lot of people did not know about the different types of ammo. So most boats, especially when you get to tier 4 or higher, have high explosive and armor piercing rounds. High explosives are, and excuse the background noise, there's some construction going on. I don't even know if you guys can hear that, but high explosive rounds are non-armor piercing. Sometimes they can be, and generally speaking, when I'm doing the broadside of this boat so you guys could see, you want to aim the high explosives for the stuff on top of the deck, right? The crew quarters, the guns, the cap, things like that. You don't want to be aiming high explosives along the waterline. That's for armor piercing. Now, armor piercing, you can do one of two things. You can pierce the armor and do damage, but there's also something called citadelling. Citadelling is where you hit a critical section of the ship right at or below the waterline, and you just completely tank their health. It's fantastic. It's wonderful, but you got to figure out where that is. On most boats, it's usually below either the smokestacks or the command bridge. Cruisers, I find it's towards the stern of the boat. Some boats have it on the bow. When you're shooting your armor-piercing rounds, and you have your little aiming reticle, right? Imagine my mouse here in the middle of the screen is my little cross. When I'm leading a ship, I will put my horizontal part of the cross on the waterline. And when I fling shots out, they will hit at or below the waterline, and more often than not, like just yesterday, I had 8 citadels in one match. Why is that important? Well, when you're getting XP based on damage you do, and you do damage and you do, like, let's say 2,000 damage per volley, if I have a volley that hits with a citadel, I might do 20,000 points of damage in one volley. I have actually gotten multiple citadels, and I'm going to be posting some compilation videos soon of citadels, but I've actually done multiple citadels in one volley where I took an enemy battleship that was completely 100% health, and I one-shotted them in one volley. So citadels are amazing. They're fantastic. If you learn how to do them, it could completely change your grind. But back to the high explosives, you really want to aim your high explosives for maybe the top of the deck or right below it, and try to do, that's how you're going to incapacitate their guns, incapacitate their torpedo launchers, incapacitate their secondary armaments. If you aim your high explosives at the side of the ship, they're really not doing anything. So next I will cover commanders. Different skills for different ship types are available to all of your commanders. For instance, battleship commanders have certain skills that are preferred for battleships, right? Most people don't use high explosive um, unless you're making long range shots with battleships. Some battleships do prefer high explosives, but for the most part, most people use armor piercing. So the main battery shell type switching time is not as important. Something like the emergency repair specialist, I always try to get on the battleship. It's, less cooldown time, gives you an extra health boost and self heal. Incoming fire alert, once you get to situational awareness, you're going to know if you're being shot at or not. So that's not as important, I don't think. The preventative maintenance is huge. If a torpedo hits you in the stern, it's going to knock out your rudder and your steering, and you're going to be just like, okay, well, this gives that a 30% reduced chance of getting that. So I would highly recommend that on battleships. AA defense is huge. Torpedo detection, vigilance, that gives you an extra 25% of detecting torpedoes, which when you're in a battleship and you can't move very fast, that's fantastic. Ship speed, less important. It is nice. If you do have a ship that needs a HE, this is where you're going to go. I always like to get the main battery traverse speed because, it stinks waiting for your guns to swing around. This gives you extra AP damage, but it also increases the time it takes to extinguish fire and flood. So, and that does damage the whole time it's ticking. So that's something that you could decide. Long range secondary battery skills. If you look at your artillery here, you're going to see that the secondary armament is listed here. And this is where you would decide if you really want that. I would highly suggest doing that on like the German battleships and battleships that have a naturally long distance for their secondary range. I mean, this says our main battery range is 15.3. I'm trying to see if it says the second. Oh, yeah, 4 kilometers is the secondary range. So an extra 20% would give you an extra 1 kilometer, which is no good. But if you look over here at, let's see, where is my German? My goodness, so on its secondary battery range, maximum range is 9.1 kilometers. Now I have gotten that long range secondary battery skills, so I can't tell you how many times that has actually come in very handy in a battle. I could be 9.1 kilometers from you, and like for instance, destroyers. The minute a destroyer gets within 9 kilometers of me, my secondary batteries are consistently firing. Now what's nice is, going back to that same ship, if we go to, let's see here, exterior, equipment actually, and we start looking at some of these flags, well, look at this. If we put a Mikey Yangi Soxa 6 on there, so right now it is 9.1 kilometers. If I activate that, now we're up to 9.5 kilometers. That's huge for destroyers. Like, anytime a destroyer lights up within 10 kilometers of me, I'm going to start shooting at it automatically. Now, to that end, when you are in battle, I can't show you right now, and I will show you in battle, but if you hold the control key and click on a destroyer, it's telling your secondary guns to concentrate fire on that ship. Regardless of what other ships are around you, that is your primary target. So secondaries are huge if your boat is equipped with them. The German battleships are known for them. Here's another 9.1. I don't know about the cruisers. Yeah, 6.3, still great. Let's see, the Hipper is 7.6, still great. The Americans, not so much. Secondary is only 5.6. The Japanese, let's look at the Nagato, is only 5.6. So really, the main point of this is don't get too steeped in the details starting this game off from scratch, but be aware that these things exist so that as you go and as you learn, you could start specializing your commanders. So going back, and you can read each one of these. I would always go for manual secondary battery aiming. That's huge. They hit more often. Sometimes your secondaries are just flying all over the place. It looks kind of crazy. You also have close quarters, main battery reload time. That's huge, especially with a battleship. I mean, 10%. You know, if you've got a 30-second reload, that shaves 3 seconds off. It doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of 15 minutes, every 30 seconds, you're shaving off 3 seconds. That gives you 5, 10, 15 more volleys. So every ship, including like cruisers, here's my cruiser layouts. Depending on the cruiser too, like my Helena, just constantly spams HE. So, as I go up the tech tree, I'm gonna want things like, okay, demolition expert. I'm gonna want things like right here, HE does more armor penetration. Things now also keep in mind from the negatives. Like this says, chances of causing a fire by HE shells without modifiers applied or reduced by half. Those are making your HE rounds hit harder, but doing less fire damage. So I might not get that because I really like lighting people on fire. Because if they don't have a repair right then and there, you're doing damage every tick as the battle goes on, and that adds up. So just be very aware of your commanders and their skills. They are going to change. You can kind of have a broad overview of, okay, for battleships, I'm going to want these skills. But for this specific battleship, go back to what I was talking about with the German battleships, you might want to really start to specialize with secondaries and things like that. So next I want to talk about the economic bonuses. Every ship has different bases, right? So if I just remove this all, for instance, let's look at the Gunneso right here. This has 5, 10, 22, 30. And Scharnhorst, base 10, 60, 72, 80. Now that is a premium, right? I think I got that during the Christmas event. So if you want to, my York, 5, 10, 22, 30, they're all going to be about the same. Let's remove all these. 5, 10, 22, 30. I don't know if all the base ships are the same. 5, 10, 22. It sure does appear that way. Let's look at the Helena. 5, 10, 22, 30. Okay, I think some of the ships, there are some ships that aren't premium that give you bonuses. I just don't know which ones they are off the top of my head. But pay special attention to their bases. Like here's one, Ogokasi, right? This Gokasi has a 10, 60, 72, and 80. Now some of these ships, like let's say you really love running a ship. We'll just go back to we'll go to the P. Heinrich so I can pronounce it. Let's say I really love this thing. Well, you could put a permanent camouflage on here that would give you a bonus of 5% more credits and 50% across the board. So it would be 10, 60, 72, 80. And you can either buy that for gold, or sometimes you get these permanent camouflage packages for like tier 5 ships or whatever from events or from those campaigns earlier. I'm going to see if maybe that Gokasi has one. Yeah, the Gokasi has a permanent bonus. That's why it's got the extra bonuses. But those are great things to put onto a ship that you might really enjoy playing. I don't know. I think I just got it for the Gokasi. I wouldn't have put it on there because I typically don't play Japanese cruisers. But pay attention to these and save the bigger numbers for later on when you get to higher tiers and you learn what you're doing. For now, if you just want to grab a little extra 20% credits, or I would save the bonus XP because anything below tier 4, you're gonna be really quick. The grind really doesn't start happening till tier 5 and above in this game. Commander XP you can do. I wouldn't go crazy with it. And then the free XP, this is actually a great segue to that. The free XP, you're going to want to grind with any gold boats you have. It just gives you more. Save it up. I'll give you an example here. We'll look at our tech tree, and I believe it's in the USA. There are some ships in the game that you can buy for free XP, but they're like literally a million free XP. But they're like really nice premium boats. I don't think it's this one. Right now, we're going to be live looking to see if maybe they got rid of them. Those are for gold. Maybe they did get rid of them. I don't know. If you know the answer to that, you could post in the chat. We're looking for ships that used to be able to be bought with free XP. You can use it to like expedite your grind, specifically if they took it out to buy ships. I know one of the ships used to be the Alaska on the USA line that you could buy. Let's see, is the Alaska here anymore? Maybe it's just an event thing that comes on and off, but just I would highly suggest saving your free XP because they do sometimes have boats that can be bought with it, and you can get like a tier 9 or a tier 10 premium ship for 1,000,000 free XP. So just save that up. Don't use it unless you absolutely have to. I mean, if you find a line that you absolutely detest grinding and you're like, ugh, I got to get through it, by all means, it's your game. Have fun with it. But if you can, just save it up and let it just stockpile. Forget you have it. And I think, yeah, I think it's got to be an event thing where you can buy the ships for the free XP. But, okay. So for, I wish there was kind of a test thing in here. Oh, there is a training battle. Cool. I get to show you guys some things. We'll go out with our smith. Nah, let's go out with our farragut. So for this, I'm going to demonstrate a few things for you guys. Oh, okay, well, you know what? Let's just go in a co-op battle and show you. Because then there's not much pressure and I don't care if I do any damage. Well, we will go with a smith. So, some of the things I'm going to be demonstrating in here, especially specifically with the destroyer, is setting up your mini-map and then kind of being aware of what's going on. With the destroyer, you have concealment. Every time you fire your guns, you become easier to spot. Okay? So as you can see in the bottom, we're going to move my branding here again, so this way you guys can actually see it. Okay. So on the bottom right of the screen is my mini-map. Using your minus key and your plus key, you can increase the size or decrease the size. When I'm playing battleships and cruisers, I don't mind it smaller, but when I'm playing DDs, I like to blow it up. And then there's a little sprocket on the top right of that. If you click on that, I have my torpedo range is my solid line inside. My detectable range by sea is my dotted line. So what that tells me is if there's an enemy ship within that dotted line, they can see me. Okay, and then my main battery range, this is a smith, it's got a bunch of guns on it, so I'm concerned with that. Also, when you're in the game, if you hold, and welcome to the stream, I'm going over new bro stuff, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. I will be glad to answer any questions you have. So while you're in the battle, if you hold control and you mouse over your torpedoes, it'll tell you the range, 4.5 kilometers, right? So that's pretty close. My guns have a little bit of a further range, 6.6 kilometers. Now, also, when you're driving your ship towards enemies, your angle makes a difference. If I'm broadside to you, like it is on the screen right now, and you shoot at me, they're going to go straight in me. But if I'm at like a 45 or 30 degree angle or even a 20 degree angle, similar to what the screen is showing now, there's a really good chance that your shells will just bounce right off of me. So I'm going to blow up my mini-map even more for you guys so you guys can kind of see the point that I'm talking about. Is that as long as I keep those ships out of that bright orange or the dotted line. Now see, I spotted, but he also detected me. So we're going to just launch some torpedoes. And I'm leading him a little bit. And I'm kind of aiming, I'm not aiming at the water line, I'm aiming at the deck. And we're going to try to light him on fire and do some incapacitations. I set him on fire. See if we could disable his torpedoes. I'm going to actually back up a little bit, which is a really bad idea when you're dealing with a destroyer, because he could have very easily shot torps at me. But, meh. We're just having a fun battle and I'm explaining things to you. Now, after this battle, I'll actually show you guys the secondaries in action, but this gun doesn't have it. Another very important thing when you're playing Destroyer is if you hit P, if you see down next to my HE rounds, it turned off my anti-aircraft, because I can be detected by enemy aircraft from a lot further away than I can be by ships. So if you're playing a destroyer and you want to maintain concealment, you want to hit P and make sure that, you know, hey, the enemy aircraft is not going to see me from far away, or, you know, whatever. We're going to give you some more torps, because at tier 2 my torps don't do anything. And once again, if you notice when we were in the port, I'm kind of aiming at the deck of the ship. There we go. Okay, we got a battleship there. We're going to wait till we get closer, because the further away you are, the more deviation in your torpedo path, as well as they could change directions. So for the most part, if you're a destroyer, the name of the game is just harass the enemy by lighting them on fire, disabling their guns, etc., etc. Same thing with cruisers. Most cruisers are going to want to shoot HE rounds. So we are going to torpedo, and we are going to torpedo. And if you notice, there's that little guide marker. That's kind of a for the most part, that's where you want to be. But, you know, that guide marker is not always 100%. It really depends on your torpedo speed. So if you are playing a destroyer and you like, there's a specific boat that you like, learn the speeds, learn the torpedoes, and learn whether you want to be ahead of those guidelines or below it. Okay. So I am taking a lot of damage from someone. So we've talked about concealment, we've talked about torpedo speed. Smoke, if you are in a gunboat and you need to stay concealed, you'll see down on the bottom where it's hit T for smoke. That will conceal me for basically upwards of, like, I could be within a kilometer of you, and the only way you're going to see me is if you have somebody with radar or surveillance. But smoke is a great way. For instance, if you're like an American destroyer, like a Farragut that's a gunboat, you could just pop smoke and just sit there and do rapid fire HE rounds at somebody, lighting them on fire. And you're going to want to keep in mind that a lot of seasoned players or veteran players will be able to kind of guesstimate where you are based on where your shells are coming from. So you always want to make sure to kind of move forward and backwards a little bit within your smoke cloud, or drag your smoke for a little while so you have like a line of smoke. So that is one way to maintain concealment. And that's, you'll see a lot of people when they'll go into a cap zone, they'll pop smoke and just sit there and just lob HE rounds over and over and over again. So we just covered that destroyers. Let's see if we can find a cruiser. Let's run a premium boat too, because why not? I don't very rarely run them. Yeah, let's talk about cruisers. Cruisers, one of the main thing I just want to cover for any new players are that cruisers are paper tigers. They don't have a lot of armor. Very often, battleships in matches will just try to one-shot you by citadeling you. So think of it as a big destroyer in this game. You want to stay concealed, you want to stay mobile, you do not want to percent your broadside. You want to go face on somebody, or you want to angle your ship and just make sure that you don't have to soak up a ton of damage. And excuse the screen, lately this has been doing in this after matches, is that my port just constantly circles. So maybe if I change my port here, will that change it? Nope. Okay. So I don't even know what I had it set at, but it's neither here nor there. We'll set it to New York because that's where I am for real. Okay, so battleships, let's see. Let's see if any of these have a good secondary so I could show you guys. 5.5 kilometers, that's good enough. I don't ever play the Oklahoma, so let's just take that in. So battleships, this is where we're going to come into play with HE versus AP. Cruisers, some cruisers have bigger guns on them, and you want to shoot AP. Most cruisers want to shoot HE, and you're going to want to focus fire on things like destroyers and other cruisers, getting rid of the screens of the enemy battleships. Because one of the things that most people don't understand is that you can be within 4 kilometers of a battleship, and they can't see you if they don't have a cruiser or a destroyer spotting for them. So I've been in matches before where I've been the only destroyer versus 3 battleships, and I've won because I can launch my torpedoes from 6 or 7 kilometers away. They don't see me, so they don't know the torpedoes are coming, and by the time they see the torpedoes, it's too late for them to do anything about it. So if you're a cruiser, if you're a destroyer, concentrate on, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this negatively, but know your role. Battleships' roles are just to do the maximum amount of damage and face tank. Destroyers' roles are surprise attack, capture zones, scout. Cruisers' roles are to destroy any enemy destroyers and just whelp all the enemy cruisers, right? Now this is circumstance, if you're in a match and you're doing something else, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, you're the worst player ever." But just if you start off every ship, like for instance destroyers, they get a bonus XP at the end of the match for capturing zones, right? Or scouting. Aircraft carriers, they get bonuses for scouting ships and things like that. Cruisers, I don't know what the actual ship bonuses are. I think battleships just get, more XP for the more damage you get, but your XP modifiers are based on your ship's role. So if you really want to start maximizing, let's say you're a destroyer and all you do is sit in the background and just fling torpedoes, and you're like, why am I not getting any experience? Well, because you're not moving forward and capturing any of the zones. So torpedoes are part of it, but you get more experience if you're playing your role. So here, because this is a bot match, everybody just kind of goes forward. I'm going to try to demonstrate citadeling. And we're going to just, and once again, we're in a battleship, so this just takes forever. But I have AP armor-piercing rounds loaded. My first target, I'm going to see if I can't, okay, I can't reach him yet. We might just wait till we get up close to that Belarus right there, but we're going to actually try to lob some shots over here. Now, when you zoom in like this, you're going to see that your horizontal reticle has numbers on it. That's approximately like kilometers away. It's not an exact science. Like that guy's 20 kilometers away, but you kind of got to gauge it by speed, and as well as if they're behind an island like that guy was. So this one's actually a perfect example. So this cruiser is giving me his broadside. It's a bot, so he's not doing anything wrong. And I'm going to try to gauge it. I'm going to aim my horizontal reticle on the water line and try to plink right along the side. You're not going to always get citadels. Citadels are one of those things that when you get them, you're like, yes. I'm going to try to lob it over that island and hit him again. And did I make it over the island? Some of them did. Okay. But yeah, the whole point of the aiming it on the water line is just trying to get it right there at or below the water line and getting those citadel hits. And with the HE rounds, once again, like I covered earlier in the stream, is you're really going to want to be aiming at the modules on the deck. So you can kind of, I like to wait till I can see the water line here. I mean, you could try to guesstimate it. That's actually pretty close. We're going to shoot there. And we're going to see. Okay, I incapacitated his guns. We're going to aim a little bit behind. Sometimes cruisers have their citadel in the back. Oh, there's a citadel right there. So it was on the back of the ship. Now, he didn't have a lot of hit points left anyways, but had I hit him with full health and gotten that citadel, you would have saw his health just melt. So if you really want to increase the amount of XP you get, learn how to shoot. Right? If you noticed, like, I wasn't aiming right on the bow, I was kind of adjusting it. It's fine to not double click either. Like, that guy's a little too far out, but we're going to try to close the range here. Now, that's a battleship. I can still citadel him. Okay, so now he's about 17 kilometers out. He's moving at that speed. I'm going to try one shot at like just over 10. And you see He disappeared, which is fine. Don't shoot when he disappears. Okay, there he lights again. 10 was good, so we're going to unleash all of them at 10. And then we're going to see what happens. Maybe I'll get a Citadel. Who knows? Nope. But, you know, years of experience has shown me where I lead, or, you know, where I need to lead ships to shoot at them. That's just going to take practice. It's not an exact science. I've just gotten to the point where, like, I could probably shoot right here and not make it over that mountain, but like I can shoot people behind mountains because, like, okay, that circle's above their ship, their water line's right about there. So if I aim like right here, let's see when he pops out how close I am to the water line of his ship. Pretty close. So there might have been a chance that I might have hit him. But he's out of here now, so we're gonna launch some more at him. Waiting for my rear guns to swing around. Now, the farther you are away also, the bigger your spread of your shot is. So sometimes it's better off just holding until you can move in closer. Also, I wouldn't be traveling at this broad of an angle to him if this was an actual match with no bots. Now you see he's starting to slow down, so this is where I would move my reticle closer to him if I had a shot, but I'm not going to make it over those mountains. Oh, there's a destroyer. Okay, I'm holding control, and you'll see my reticle pop up. You see how it says auto over that battleship? That is where I would tell my secondaries to concentrate. So what we're going to do is, since that's a bot player anyways, we are going to YOLO into him, and I'm going to demonstrate the secondaries. This ship is painfully slow. Okay, he's not close enough for secondaries yet. He's 8 kilometers out, but I held control and I clicked on him, and now he has an A icon over him, meaning that's where I want my secondaries to concentrate. There's also a carrier somewhere. Now I can shoot at him with armor piercing. Generally speaking, it's not even worth trying to hit them with your battleship because the spread on the guns is usually too much. But we're going to try to close the gap here. I think I said I had to get within 5 kilometers of him. I kind of had a feeling torpedoes were coming. That's why I started turning, because it's a destroyer. Okay, so now as soon as he gets within range, because I told my secondary gun, there they go. You see those secondary guns? I don't have to click a thing. They're going to just start firing. And I can also, you know, fire shots in my main battery range at him. And now my secondary guns incapacitated him. They got 2 hits, and they got... So those secondary guns are huge if you're playing a ship that has them. So I'm actually glad that I was able to close in range before he died. And now, you know, as far as battleships go, if you don't know, this is a self-heal. Number 4 is depth charge airstrike. Now these are for enemy submarines, but what's also nice about them is, let's say earlier in the stream I was covering, if you're playing a destroyer and you hit P, you could hit this with any gun, it turns off your secondary and AA guns. Well, if somebody's playing a destroyer and they don't know about that, if you send your airstrike out, as soon as that gets within range of them, their anti-aircraft guns will start firing at them and light them up for you. So you'll actually be able to tell, hey, they're there, and you could shoot at them. And so will the rest of your enemy team. So not only are those for subs, but you can also use them to trigger people's AA guns. I'm trying to think what else to cover for new players. Something else to keep in mind is that with aircraft carriers, if you light them on fire, they can't launch airplanes. So if you're in a cruiser and you don't mind the extraordinarily large reload of a battleship, you could switch to HE rounds and start shooting at this carrier right now so that he wouldn't be able to launch fighters at you. With carriers also, if the boat dies and the planes are in the air, the carrier player continues to get to use those planes until they're dead. Hey, I citadel him. See, I did 14,000 damage with that one citadel. So that's 2 citadels in one match. So between those 2 citadels, that was over half of the damage I did in that match. So you could see how that could really increase the amount of credits and XP I get at the end of the match. So let's see if there's anywhere here that tells you the modifiers for the credits and stuff you earned. No, I don't think so. And like I said, once again, I apologize about the noise in the background. There's construction going on at my house. So yeah, just your XP and your modifiers are based on the role of your ship. And there's stuff on the forums about that and things like that you can look into, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't covered. Let's see, we covered the equipment on the ship. You unlocked that. Okay, here's something you can do. Let's see. Let's find, I know for instance, my Colorado has it. On the Colorado, and on some ships, no it doesn't. What ship had it? There's sometimes you can modify the consumables. Iowa? Hmm. Trying to find, sometimes specifically with the battleships, you can either have a spotting aircraft or you can have a fighter. I'm not able to find it right now. Let's try to go to my higher tier ships. While I'm looking at this, and I could have swore I saw it just yesterday. Is it on tier 6s? I don't think so. And I know it was on battleships. Having trouble finding some things today. No, sometimes on this consumables section, you're going to see a icon that's for spotting planes that you can change. I always, especially if I'm in a battleship, I always like to bring fighters. Because if you pop the fighter out, it literally hovers around your boat. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm not finding it right now, but there may be a situation where you find it on one of your boats. I doubt it's in the tier 4s. I always like to have fighters because specifically when carriers are going out after you, you know, they send out torpedoes or whatever, you've got a little fighter plane circling around your ship, and it's shooting any torpedo bombers coming in or anything else. Null. Okay. I don't know where it went, but it's somewhere in there. I've seen it in the middle of the match. I just cannot find it right now. But yes, it's going to be under your equipment. There's going to be a thing that's, you know, got a little spotting aircraft. We saw it, in fact, on that ship that we just used, which was the Oklahoma. Huh. I'm wondering if there's something bugged with my game right now because it's not showing it. Anyways, with the exterior, this is where you would put your camouflages. Um, the camouflages used to do a lot more than they do now. I don't know if they actually do anything other than just our cosmetics now. They used to actually give you less detectability range and stuff, but I don't think they do anything now. So the flags are just kind of bragging rights. I know I've got a lot of times I'll run my alpha flag right here just because it's alpha. But you know, it's unfortunate because the flags and the camouflages used to give you bonuses, and they kind of took that away. Let's see, what else do I want to cover? Well, you've got all your stuff here. You've got your achievements if you want to collect all those and get all those. As far as guild matches go, or being in a guild, this is what the guild screens look like. I would highly recommend being in the guild because you can get battles where you compete with guild members and you get coal and oil. And then when you're in a guild, all of these buildings here that your guildmaster can level up, which I've got a ton of them that are maxed out right now. But basically, they give you, like this one, minus 10% to the post-battle service cost of any of your tier 1 to 10 ships, plus 30% free XP per battle for every one of your ships, plus 12% commander XP, and it just goes down the list. So if you're not in a guild, I would highly recommend being in a guild. It's going to drastically reduce your grind. There's also clan missions that you could do that, we haven't finished all of ours yet. But then there's also these battles called naval battles. Now, when these events go on, you team up with members of your clan, and you get oil and steel as a reward. Now, let's talk about that. That would be a great way to end the video here for new players. Different currency types. You've got credit, you've got steel, you've got coal, and gold. Steel is your currency to buy premium ships. So if you go to, let's see, do they have a steel only? No, just ships, right? So you can buy coal or steel premium ships. Steel are always going to be better. That's just the way they are. The bonuses they give, the inherent bonuses and stuff, these are like think of them as your A tier premium boats, right? Coal are your B tier premium boats. They will give you extra bonuses, but not quite as good. So when you see some of these players that are just out there and they have these fantastic ships and they always do top damage and they do things that you're like, good lord. Well, that's a steel boat. You can buy these, like for instance, I have 2,295 steel right now. The cheapest one is 22,000. There are specific missions and brawl battles that you can grind out steel. You can acquire it. I just don't usually pay much attention to it. Coal, on the other hand, I always get my more coal containers and stuff. So right now I almost have enough to get one of these tier 9s or tier 10s again. I've bought some of these ships with coal. More often than not, I'm not a cruiser player. I love playing cruiser, but I stink at it. I'm always getting one-shotted. So more often than not, I will go in here and I'll maybe get, a battleship like the Palmeiran or something. Or, I'll go and watch some YouTube videos on some other people that actually know how to play some of these ships and say, oh, that looks fun, and I'll go ahead and buy it. But, I mean, you can even get, like, I wouldn't go for the Charleston. It's a great ship, but it's just a tier 3. But if you really wanted a grinding ship, let's say you really like the American ships and you want to grind out your American cruisers, maybe, spend 34,000 coal and buy the Marblehead. Or, get one of these tier 6 ships right here, or, whatever. Pick whatever ship type you get, and then I'm trying to see if some of the premium ships that I have here, if I could show you the difference between a steel and a coal one, but I don't remember what each one of these are. I think the Kearsarge was an actual swipe that I made. I don't remember exactly, but if I strip these off, yeah, so this gets 15, 110, 122, and 30 versus, I think the Bliskawicka was a coal ship. 10, 60, 72, 80. So you're always going to get more built-in bonuses with cash shop or steel boats than you will coal. But coal, for lack of a better way of putting it, will be the poor man's premium. So doubloons will give you the best, best of the best. Steel will give you second of the best, and coal will give you the third of the best. Also, if you're running low on ports slots, I've never really had to buy any. They give them out for the events a lot. I mean, like right now with the event pass, let's see if they gave out any. Yeah, on the day one, they give you one. And then I'm unsure if there's going to be any more beyond here. But, so generally speaking, every event pass, you get at least one port thing. And then also, as you go through, you can get them out of your containers. I mean, like, just out of curiosity right now, I'll get more coal. But let's just see what we get. Sometimes when you get a super container, you can get a port slot. So I got coal, and I got free XP plus 300%, and I got 500 free XP. Cool. So I think I've covered a lot of stuff for new players. Before we end the stream here, you got bot battles or co-op battles. If you're anything from tier 3 and below, your queue time is going to be drastically reduced if you just start with co-op battles. It is reduced XP though. Random battles are player versus player. Tier 4 and above, I would highly recommend. And just play a little more conservative because that is versus real players. Operations, those are fun scenario based missions where it's usually 5 to 7 players versus bots. They're harder than normal bots, and there's specific objectives that you have to do. So maybe in the future I will do a breakdown of the different operations and the different objectives. But just know that you need to do specific things and play a certain way, and there's really good rewards. Like they give, if you do your daily doubles there, you actually can get a lot of XP and credits. Um, Ranked battles are for right here teams of tier 6 to tier 8, 6v6, PvP ranked. Clan battles are that GVGs. Brawls are 4v4 with tier 9s. Unbreakable lines, these are infinite respawns. This is new this last patch. I like it because if you get unlucky with a certain ship, you can keep respawning and end up getting a good amount of XP. Or if you're really good at a ship, like some of my battleships I've taken in there, and you end up with 2, 3, 350, 400,000 damage, which could be huge XP. So those are fun. I would highly recommend. But it really that battle has become a YOLO Leroy Jenkins battle. And then operations with flagships, these are just more difficult versions of operations with more bonuses. So I think I've covered a ton of stuff for new people. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My Discord information is on the screen. You can post on here. You can send me a private message through Twitch, whatever. I will try to get back to everybody. I know like the other day I had like 7 or 8 DMs. I will be more than happy to answer questions. I will be more than happy to add friend requests on Discord and answer DMs and stuff. I've been playing the game since alpha. I have a lot of information. Sometimes I don't even know what I have until somebody asks, and I'm like, oh, wow, I know the answer to that. So feel free to just shoot me anything. If you would like me to cover anything in future videos, by all means, let me know. And thanks for watching.